presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right?
Very.
So much success that you have more than one place to be.
Fly break, touchdown, Oregon.
Off a dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Swing and a miss. Oregon is headed to the Super Regional.
Fans being out there making this a great impact.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Oregon and Oregon State coming up, a 12:30 kickoff on Saturday, 10:30 pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network as we look forward to another edition of this rivalry game. There's been a lot of conversation about if it's played in September versus if it's played in November, and yeah, doesn't matter when it's played, as you'll hear from a number of student athletes today. Tonight, the Oregon Football Coaches Show, we've got Dan Lanning, the Duck football head coach, talking with Jerry and Georgie, and then I'm really excited to welcome the quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, to the Country Financial Studio on the Toyota Coaches Show tonight. We've got that for you this evening, 7 o'clock, just after 7 o'clock across the Oregon Sports Network and via all of the Oregon football social media channels. I'm Joey Mac. We've got Dan Lanning off the practice field today. Also, Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com, is going to join us. Bryce Beter, Jabar Muhammad, Nashad Struther, Jordan James, Jeffrey Bossa, Keon Ware Hudson, Marcus Harper, all on the docket for you today and tomorrow. Also tomorrow, Mike Parker, voice of the Beavers, will join us. The matchup coming up and the view from the other side of this Oregon State rivalry game. Coach Lanning, after practice, it was a wet practice today, balmy day in the Willamette Valley. He talked with the media right off the practice field, just about an hour ago, if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. Coach Lanning, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center, Better Cancer Care, close to home. Dan Lanning.
It was kind of fun for us. We had to work out in the elements a little bit, which is always good prep for us in the future. Be remiss if I didn't recognize today being 9/11 and all the people that were affected by that. Certainly remember exactly where I was at in that moment. So something to certainly think about. But our guys did a great job today of working and ready to attack this weekend.
How's Matt Bedford been looking now that he's been able to take apart a little bit more?
Yeah, better and better.
Confident he'll play?
Confident he could.
So, on the contingencies on the O-line, then we've seen Marcus obviously take snaps a little bit, but is there a possibility of him at center with Nashad and Poncho guard? Or?
It'd probably be Poncho there before that.
You've seen from their lead receiver, he's gotten off to a pretty nice start. Just what makes him unique in that way?
Yeah, just they do a good job of establishing the run and then taking advantage of explosive passes. When you're talking about Oregon State, yeah, do a great job of taking advantage of that run game is going to make people play lighter in coverage and winning on those deep balls.
Did you see any defense on tape after watching the Boise State game again? Like, where do you want to see them improve, and what do you think they did well at?
Yeah, eliminating explosive plays, right? I think that's a big piece of it. I think we need to improve in the red area, right? When it comes to defense performance, we're really good on third down. When it was third and longer, we were really poor on third and short. So another area for us to improve.
What goes into correcting the kickoff offsides? I think you've had a couple of those through 2 weeks.
Yeah, we just worked it today, right? We worked. So really, it's more when we were kicking right as opposed to the left is when the approach is a little bit different, so we have to work to get offs in those moments.
What's the impact to their offensive line of their right guard is, physically speaking, the largest guy being out for the season? What is the impact there, and what have you seen from the backup they're going to be turning?
Yeah, the game will have to tell that story. I mean, I think they're still going to be a team that wants to have success running the ball. They've always had guys that can do that, that can block, but it's going to be we'll see what lineup they bring up out there, and I'm sure they'll still want to do some of the things they're good at.
How crucial can those waning moments of the first half be, and then leading into the second half to build momentum?
Yeah, it's been something that's been a real positive for us in the last few years. So it's something we want to be really good at. We talk about the middle eight all the time, and just being able to score at the end of a half and then potentially start with the ball in the second half and start with a good drive is something we want to be good at. But it's a good area for us to improve right now.
Dan Lanning.
Mind the interior defensive line a little bit about their left tackle's comments from a couple of years ago when he was at CU, or is that?
I didn't.
Oregon football head coach wrapping things up upstairs in the Hatfield Dowland Complex after practice today. Always brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. We'll have a much longer interview with Coach Lanning tonight on the Oregon Football Coaches Show. Jerry Jorge will be talking with him here this evening in the Country Financial Studio. Just after 7 o'clock, we'll have it for you. We're going to get a timeout early, and then we'll come back and talk with Rob Moseley all things football, rivalries, volleyball, soccer. Rob Moseley's walking into the Country Financial Studio as we speak here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mac in the Country Financial Studio. Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, is here. I have one serious question for you. Did you fumble your O cookie this weekend, sir?
I did not.
That's a good thing. Yes. No more omens.
Yes, I just housed it.
Good. So did you eat it right in front? You didn't even walk back to your seat, just made sure that it got
No, I mean, because you got to get the photo for the 4 people.
Right. 6.
6.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joey Harrington being one.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's a distinguished group.
It is.
It's not maybe not a large group,
but it's a distinguished
group. Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm just glad that you did your part. I want you to know that I actually purposefully, on your behalf on Saturday, sometimes there's a broken cookie on the tray.
Mm-hmm.
I actually took the broken cookie from the tray because I thought, that makes up for the one that went uneaten, that had its unfortunate fate met 2 weeks ago.
Hard to say if any of that mattered or how it affected things because things were still a little dicey.
Hard to say. It's almost like maybe none of that matters and nothing we do has any impact.
Let's not go too far.
Are you a superstitious guy? We've talked this a little bit.
Slightest. Yeah. No, I mean, no.
Yeah. I think I'm more of I believe in my routine. I'm very coach, student athlete type in that way. I believe in my routine, and when my routine is off, it rattles me a bit. But that's a me problem.
I'm not a big I have to do X, Y, Z. I'm a little bit more if things aren't going good, change it up.
Right.
But that's as much like a tension reliever, stress reliever as it is because I certainly don't think it matters.
You know why I change chairs? Because it feels good to get up and move around. And
right.
Then
if
sit
you're stressed
else.
out, 100%.
Absolutely. Football, rivalries, takeaways. Ducks are 2-0. Open floor. What do you think 2-0 start?
Yeah, I mean, it struck me walking out to the practice field Monday. Oh, man, got to get better. Got to get better this week. And, but then it struck me like that would be the case regardless of how the first 2 games had gone.
Perspective, Rob.
And so it's no different than where we'd be now. Yeah, would you have liked to kind of set the bar a little higher to be building on maybe a little higher foundation right now? For sure. I mean, I think there's no secret there's elements of Oregon's play that Ducks want to clean up and improve at. But again, by the same token, that wasn't going to be any different. And if you have a couple close games early, to remind yourselves that even in wins you can't get comfortable, and you better be working on issues that crop up, because somebody's going to try to exploit them later in the year. I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world. So as long as everybody kind of keeps that right mentality of just building and building and building, you're going to be okay.
It's interesting too. So I was listening to Trent Bray's press conference earlier this week, and he's, of course, getting the same questions about the rivalry and things to improve on, getting better. And one of the things he said that you'll hear from every coach is football in some cases is a week-to-week event because there's preparation, there's game planning, there's things to get better at. It is often in a vacuum, week to week it is a vacuum. It's good to be 2-0, but that's why you hear phrases like just go 1-0 this week.
Right, yeah, and that would be no different, kind of depending on how things would be going. And yeah, if having some things crop up the first couple games to fix kind of clarifies that, all the better. But it's going to be an interesting week in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, we watched a team from Seattle last year go week after week after week, feeling like, man, what an escape job that was. Mm-hmm. And it ended up all the way in the national championship game.
Were you sitting in the broadcast booth at all on Saturday?
I never was.
Oh.
But
you just said literally what I said to Jerry and Jorgie in a nutshell.
No, and I've seen people talking
It's
about it
insane.
online. Yeah, it's
amazing.
not to suggest that I had an original thought, because I never have in my life.
But I think it's an apt point.
Totally.
Is what I'm joking about.
For as frustrating as that might have been as an Oregon fan to watch last year, it also can be illustrative of you don't have to get style points week in, week out. The goal is to win.
Al Davis said it best.
The one I always come back to is Alex Muirball, whose phrase is always one more point. The goal is one more point. It's not how it looks or whatever. And then after that Red Box Bowl,
I was just gonna say that,
going and finding him and saying, "Hey, coach, one more point." It was 7-6. It was nobody's idea of a beauty contest.
Yeah.
But the goal was to win.
Yeah.
And that Oregon team was thrilled to win that game, because it had been a while since the Ducks had won a postseason game. Sometimes you need reminders about what ultimately is at stake and what ultimately matters most.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say quality of play doesn't matter, and again, you want to keep improving, but the goal is to win.
Anyone that's ever listened to me probably has figured this out by now, that I am often a professional regurgitator. So I'm going to professionally regurgitate Nick Aliotti here, because I think also when you listen to this segment, we talk about perspective and how it matters a lot. I'll never forget a very famous post-practice media availability where Nick Aliotti went off about how the Ducks won 9 games in one year and they were thrilled to be there. And then in another season, they lost 1 game, still won 11, and were really disappointed. That was that was kind of the genesis of the conversation. And I actually often come back to that from Coach Aliotti, that hey, perspective does matter, and expectation can be the enemy of every team, right?
Totally.
If you're supposed to win 6 games and you win 9, massive success.
Right.
You're supposed to win 12 games and you win 10, huge failure. I mean, it's. Right. I think it's good to remember that sometimes.
I do think it's good in terms of expectations, looking at where the polls are at and things like that, which just reflect kind of, perception, and and ultimately there's a poll that's going to come out in a few weeks that matters more than any of the rest of them. But for people who say preseason polls don't matter, I think as an Oregon fan you say au contraire, because it really helps to be ranked high to start a season.
Yeah.
Because then when you do have a couple performances like the last couple weeks, and I think voters aren't quite sure what to make of them, or even have some doubts, you're not going from 17th to unranked.
Yeah.
You're going from 3rd to 9th.
Yeah.
And you'd still much rather be, in the top 10 right now for sure. So, how much that matters over the course of the season, future games will dictate. But I think it does help in terms of perception to still be considered one of those elite teams, based on what your expectations were coming into the year.
Yeah, no doubt. Rob Moseley joining us, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. You, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been an AP poll voter, right?
Women's basketball I was for a couple of years. I never was in football. That was just too much.
It's so much work.
Yeah.
Like, I see so much, and this is true, like, I have so much sympathy for that because I've been a voter for a lot of the basketball conference stuff, for example, and the sheer amount of work and information it takes to get that vote in, like I'm telling you, the people that do that, sometimes they'll miss things, and I see a lot of social media like, how do you get this one wrong sort of thing, and it's like, man, I'm telling you, that's a lot of work.
You don't want to deal with that. I did. I think I was offered the chance to do football at one point, at least once, and said no. I mean, because I can remember having Sunday nights looking at, Sagarin rankings in women's basketball. I don't even know is Jeff Sagarin still around, like doing stuff for USA Today? I don't know. But anyway, that used to be kind of an old, that was one of the early kind of computer poll guys was Jeff Sagarin.
It's like Ken Palm sort of thing.
Exactly. Like looking at his rankings and trying to decide, where do I put, coincidentally, like Kelly Graves' Gonzaga teams. Like, how do I rank them? Marist was always, pretty good back then in women's basketball, and they're 25-2. How do I compare them to a 17-7 Iowa team, And I couldn't name a single player on either one of those teams, but like I'm trying to do the sport
just
solid by putting, an honest effort into this ranking. And every time I would hit send, be like, welp.
Right.
I
hope
get it. I came close to something reasonably
it's true for
accurate,
me. It's true for me when even looking at like players of the week. Like that is something that can really influence end of season awards.
Oh, no doubt.
Right? Like
a
4-time player of the week,
No
so
doubt.
like in basketball I'd be neck and neck. Like this is a coin flip. Like I don't know who, and it's a difficult thing, but I to bring that full circle, like you think about expectations, and I thought about this with all these questions about like, is it weird playing this game, the rivalry game in September versus playing it, the last game of the year in November? Like certainly it feels a little bit different. Like Brian McCloskey's been saying, it's like Thanksgiving around here, when you're talking about playing Oregon State. But this game, does it have a different meaning because it's now versus the end of the year? Yeah. Also, it has the exact same meaning because it's now. It is just the rivalry game, and it is another 1-0 opportunity.
And that's the element, the conference realignment element applies just the same. Is it going to be different? Yes. Is it going to be different? No. Both things can be true.
Right.
But just to put a cap on the voting thing, I don't know if you've ever voted for anything where this came into play, though. But one thing I will cop to is like a regional bias.
No doubt. Me too.
Like, I'm going to prop up Santa Clara and Northern Arizona and Gonzaga. I mean, that was my mind. This was 15 years ago now, but teams that I know East Coast voters have no idea about. I was like, am I going to overinflate these by a ranking or two?
Yeah.
If it was a coin flip, that's what using that term kind of made me think of this. Am I going to give the bias to the West Coast team? 100%.
Well, and part of why I do, one, there's less West Coast voters.
Yep.
That's often statistically true.
Totally.
And truthfully, it's what I know better.
Right.
So if I'm like, no, I think that's a top 15 team, so yes, I've kind of lived by that also. And that's, it's funny because we on the West Coast, I think we get a little frustrated by, the East Coast doesn't see the games. They don't know how good these teams are. Well, the same can be true, like if the game is played at 4 o'clock and it's the lead up into our 7 o'clock tip off for the basketball example, I probably didn't watch that game.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I probably didn't watch a whole lot of like the 9 a.m. Big Ten football games back in the day. I mean, I don't know,
not big
late
noon
sleeper.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think
but that changes. I mean, have you like what's the last couple of weeks been for you? Because I mean, I've definitely had times on the couch where I'm like, I guess I should watch this Penn State game.
Yeah.
Or I guess,
So we obviously make our picks every Friday, like the broadcast crew.
Oh, right. So you're looking ahead.
And so I admit this, like I know far less about the Big Ten history of these matchups compared obviously to the legacy Pac-12 teams. 100%. So I have spent more time, the first couple weeks watching more Big Ten games. And it's so funny, like my own viewing schedule has shifted. Like I'm not picking out the Arizona State, like I'm not picking out those to like make sure I tune in or for me, like I don't know if you do this, like I record a lot of them and I can kind of speed through them on Sunday.
I don't do any of that, no.
So my routine on Sunday is I watch the TV. I record the TV broadcast of our game, and then I watch our next opponent's last game. But I can do it in like 2 hours.
And you're still married?
Still, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
I say this all the time. She knew what she married.
I'm speaking more in terms of developing habits, and so it's just sort of like, well, I need to I need to just get into the routine of like, oh, Illinois is playing. I need my brain to trigger like, oh, you should watch Illinois play, you know? And I have some personal ties to Illinois specifically, so like I usually try to watch them if I can, but or whoever else. It's like, okay, I need to like rewire my brain. Like, all right, you know. And the other thing I found myself laughing at too is like sometimes each of the last 2 games I'll be in the press box looking at like ESPN's college football scoreboard. That happens to be the website I use for that. Anybody else's. But like, I wish there was like as you say, a legacy Pac-12. Like,
I know.
When you're scrolling through scoreboards, I wish there was like a legacy Pac-12 tab.
Yeah.
So I could just see how all those teams are doing. Just because I'm so used to, again, what did Arizona do this week? What did Cal do this week? You know.
What did the Fighting Kenny Dillinghams do?
Exactly. You know, I wish that still existed.
So the way that I've done that.
So that's a habit I need to break.
Yeah.
You know, I need to get into these new habits of like tuning into like these Big Ten games.
Or you just have to watch more, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you. So the way that I've done that is I just made a favorites column of all of those.
Yeah.
Like I just put them on the favorites tab. You know. But I think, you know, thinking about the rivalry and why all this matters, like why we're talking about this, I do think that there is something to be said for. I kind of like this game being played in September because you get these non-conference games. To me are often like a chance just to see what you have, but also you get a chance to play someone that you don't often play. Like Oklahoma State's on the schedule. Right. That's a great example. Like Ohio State was on the schedule. Like there's those matchups you don't often get. Well, now in the Big Ten, because of the rotation of teams, we're going to play different teams every year. So I personally love that, like, there is some familiarity, I guess, with this matchup. And it may not happen every year. Who knows what the future will bring? We'll see. But, like, the point is, I like just playing the game because there's some familiarity to it.
Yeah, and, you know, it means a lot to a lot of people around this state.
Yep.
That's the bottom line, you know. And I'm fascinated to see what the environment feels like.
Same.
I'm kind of cautiously optimistic it's going to feel not unlike any other Oregon State game.
Yeah.
And that it is a little strange, you know. We'll see.
It is strange.
In terms of where it falls on the schedule, I mean, you know, there's the year Oregon opened with Washington, like that felt weird.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, is it going to feel kind of like that? Like, all right, this is fun this time, but let's go back to kind of something more traditional. Obviously, that's not going to happen in this case, so you know, get used to it. Being in a different slot in the schedule, but I'm really interested to see just kind of what the vibe is like for, you know, fans, teams.
I think it's gonna be tense.
Yeah,
you know, that's how I feel. You know, actually, so it's funny that you bring that up. We do This Week in Duck Football History. Like Georgie always tries to pick a game that lines up storyline wise and time wise. And there haven't been very many August games, for example. Well, that Washington one in 2008 was an August game. I, for the life of me, could not find, like, why it was the first game. Do you remember, like, why that – was it just like, oh, let's try it out, like, Pac-12 game to start the year one year?
I think it was, just like an exposure thing.
Huh.
There was an effort to put some conference games early just for the sake of exposure because I want to say there was, like, a Stanford – there was a home opener that was Stanford kind of around the same time.
Okay.
It might not have been the first game of the season, but I think it was the first home game.
And traditionally, Stanford, because of the Notre Dame game, would often have the first conference game. So it could have just – Yeah. Well, because they would always play them, and USC would always have that. So it's like week 2, Stanford would play conference.
But the Washington game was fresh because, you know, Idaho, you know, we sold so well.
Right.
And so the question came up, you know, where does that rank?
Right.
And, you know, my first thought was, well, we opened with Washington one year. I'm pretty sure, you know, the Idaho game, for as well as it sold, wasn't going to be as good as that.
Well, so that's why Georgie did that game for This Week in Duck Football History, was there were so many connections, and he and I both were like, so why exactly did that happen?
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing? Like, you've said this before, and I think it's so true, that –
well, if I said it.
Obviously. Right. But like the record that is now GoDucks.com in a lot of ways is sort of the historic record of what happens, you know, with just the way that media has changed. And that I actually thought was a great example of like nowhere was it easily accessible and written down as to like why that was a thing. You know, it's amazing just how some of that gets lost to time. For example, keys to the game, I guess. Oregon State. I said in the show copy we would talk keys to the game. Keys to the game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think for Oregon, it's still a lot about yourselves and just wanting to be more efficient, more explosive on offense. Just keep playing defense. As generally tight as you have without the kind of one or two big explosive play breakdowns that have happened each of the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
And that's obviously easier said than done. But, obviously this is a game I think Oregon State's probably going to want to play. It might feel like kind of a traditional Big Ten game almost, kind of ironically enough, They're going to want to run the ball, try to stop the run. If you're the Ducks, you probably want to do the same, but also try to open it up a little bit as well. So, deal with the atmosphere. Handle the emotions of the matchup that way, and but also kind of try to dictate things. Try to play it on your terms, not let them play it on their terms, because we've seen what happens, particularly there, when Oregon State's able to dictate the terms. We saw it late in the game a couple years ago. We saw it in that 2016 game. When the Beavs can kind of turn into their kind of game at their place, they make it tough.
Home field advantage, especially in a rivalry game. I mean, it's
their fans are going to bring it.
Oh yeah, and you know what? As they should.
Heck yeah.
They're 2-0.
Yeah.
Oregon's 2-0.
Yep.
Doesn't matter when the game is played. It means a lot. Chance to spoil a season potentially.
Totally. Yeah. No, this is going to be the third time in 3 weeks that Ducks better be ready. I mean, you say it all the time. Prepare for their best shot. This is one of, if not the biggest game on the schedule for your opponent, the third week in a row now.
Yeah.
And so you better know that they've been thinking for longer than just this week about kicking your butt.
Yeah, and as they should.
As they should.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the way that these things go. Also in action, Oregon volleyball, Oregon soccer. Volleyball off to a nice start. Soccer starts Big Ten play.
Yeah, pretty exciting. I'm hopeful we'll be able to get back and take in at least some of that, because I just think
soccer's Saturday night at home, by the way.
As an event, just the first Big Ten conference matchup. Strange that it's UCLA a little bit, but that's the landscape now. And that's a traditionally a really, really tough program. But also Oregon has proven at home,
undefeated at home.
Yeah, they're pretty tough too. So if you get an early goal, starts have been such a key for them at home and an issue in the losses on the road. If you can get off to a good start at home, you can give yourself a shot. So that'd be pretty cool. And volleyball, that opening against Pitt, such a tough opponent regardless, but really exposed the fact that this team had some gelling to do. And Coach Ulmer's tweaked the lineup a little bit, and it's starting to look like he's hitting a lot of the right buttons. So they could be on track to get back to the kind of success they've had the last few years.
Yeah, talking with Coach Ulmer yesterday, I think just settling in on a rotation, you find that chemistry. Kristen Klein's done a really nice job as the setter.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense. He's Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. We'll see you in Corvallis, huh?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Drive
if
safe.
Not sooner. Yeah, I'll probably snooze in the back seat safe, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll probably see you at practice tomorrow. But
maybe.
The Royal we may not see you.
I'm going up to Portland to see King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Wednesday is concert night for you.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Why is that? Does it just fall on the schedule that way?
I think we're really lucky as a market that this is kind of a backhanded compliment almost, but we're kind of a midweek market.
We're like a leapfrog to the bigger ones.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're going from the Bay Area to Seattle or vice versa, you're liable to stop in Portland in the middle of the week, or if Portland's a big venue for you, maybe you'll stop through Eugene in the middle of the week. So it makes it pretty easy to see, like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday show. Yeah.
There you go. Why not on Wednesday?
Yep.
He's Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. Anything else fans should know? What are you working on?
No, that's about it. Yeah.
I love it.
We're just rolling.
At GoDucks Moseley, at Duck Football. Only nice tweets.
Please.
On Saturday.
Or whatever. Do whatever you want.
All right. When we come back, Bryce Beter, an in-state guy. We didn't get to his interview yesterday. We'll do that coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Ma, is this how you feed a hamster?
I think so.
Is my homework right?
I think so.
Is, this milk still good?
I think so.
When it comes to parenting, sometimes it's okay to think you know. But when it's something as important as your child's car seat, don't just think. Know. Double check if your child is in the right seat for their age and size. It'll help protect them in a car crash. Don't just think. Know by visiting nhtsa.gov/the-right seat. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Coming back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Over 522,000 members. OnPoint people are the point. So Anidra said, Dan Lanning bobblehead for your desk. Perfect for your desk. I agree completely. At what point do you earn bobblehead status? Like, you know, Bev Smith is in the Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame. Bev Smith's got a bobblehead. Phil Knight in the Oregon Athletics Hall of Fame. Phil's got a bobblehead. And then we had a lot of graduating football players. Like this is Kenyon Barner, hosting the Ducks of a Feather podcast, played in the NFL for a decade. I mean, that's bobblehead status. At what point is it bobblehead status? Personally, I think once you're the head coach, you've probably earned the right for a bobblehead. I don't know how we get that done. That's way above my pay grade, but I'm in. I love a good bobblehead. I love a good bobblehead. Now, would Coach Lanning love that bobblehead? I don't know. Maybe we'll ask him on the coach's show tonight. And also, what's your bobblehead pose? Why do I ask that? Well, Ifo Ekpreolomu, he's just like running as a defensive back, as a cornerback. Maybe though, if you're an offensive lineman, you're doing the Jake Fisher and you're just in line blocking position. What's the head coach pose? Like just standing? These are the important questions. Maybe we'll find out on the coach's show tonight, 7 o'clock across the Oregon Sports Network. Now, there have been bobbleheads of Coach Lanning made. For example, our friends at the Eugene Emerald did Dan Lanning bobblehead night. I didn't get one. Yeah. And then, I forgot about this. Anitra said that they were giving them away at a baseball game. No, I think that's the Emeralds game, right? That's got to be what you're thinking of. Yeah, I don't know. But, yeah, I feel like the Coach Lanning pose, maybe we take the picture of him running with Tez Johnson on the sideline during the punt return last week. That's the bobblehead look. That's the bobblehead. Bryce Beter, in-state guy. This rivalry game means a lot to him. Oregon linebacker who has graded out, according to Pro Football Focus, as one of the best linebackers in the country so far. Bryce Beter meeting with the media yesterday, talking Ducks and Beavs.
Bryce,
your memories of coming to Oregon State games when you were younger? What stands out?
Just the rivalry, the energy in the air, and it's not even just one day. It's bragging rights for the rest of the year and for the rest of the time. So I got endless memories from both stadiums, but it's a big one.
For sure. And family obviously growing up here in Eugene. They were Duck fans. Like what was the?
Yeah, my mom and my dad were obviously Duck fans. Grandparents were. Dad's side of the family, I got a couple cousins who are Oregon State fans and extended family who are. Mm-hmm. So like I said, it's bragging rights for the rest of the year.
For sure.
Which one's tougher, playing at Reese or Goss?
Reese or Goss, man. Woof. The last time we played at Reese, it wasn't a good ending, but I mean we've battled back and forth, so I'll have a better answer for you after this weekend.
How much does that game still linger in your guys' heads, the 2022 game?
Yeah, no, it's here and present every day. We're showing clips of it and in the film room, the team meeting rooms. First thing we watch is them rushing the field after we lost that game and gave up a lot of rushing yards against them. So that's ingrained in us, and it's not going to happen again.
It being week 3, does it have any different feeling to it, or is it more of a no matter what week it is, it's the same kind of game?
Yeah, it's Oregon versus Oregon, no matter who our opponent is. But in the back of my mind, it is the Beavers, and for those in-state guys that are on the team, it means a little extra to us. We're trying to get everyone else to buy into that, especially all the new guys and transfers that don't know the magnitude of this game. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is Oregon versus Oregon. If we play our game the best we can, we'll come out with a win.
Is it weird we're talking about it now and not later in the year?
Yeah, Coach B-Mike in our meeting room today, he's like, man, it feels like Thanksgiving already. Just because it's, it's here upon us, even though, it's still sunny out and it's early in the year. But no matter what time of year it is, it's, it's go time against the Beavers. Looking forward to it.
What have you seen from their offense? It looks like they're really, staying with that identity of running the ball.
Yeah, that's what I respect about them is they stick to their identity and they do it well. That's what you want an opponent. You want them to play their best football, and the best team's going to win. So, they run downhill. They have play action shots. So we just got to have great eyes and make great tackles and play sound football. So I'm looking forward to it.
What stands out about their two running backs, Hankerson and Griffin?
Yeah, they get north and south really well. They run hard, which is obviously important when that's your identity. So I respect their run game, but it's going to be a fun one.
What's it been like experiencing the rivalry in two different sports and getting down to Corvallis that often and them coming up here and all the complexity of that?
Yeah, I'm blessed, to be able to do both. Yeah, it's amazing. I was actually thinking this morning, I was waking up, walking to the facility. This is my last one I'm going to be able to play in. So I'm selling out for this game and this week. So yeah, it means everything to me, and it's obviously, in my opinion, the most fun game of the year. Other people are looking forward, Ohio State, Michigan, those big games, later down the road. But this is my Super Bowl.
As a linebacker, do you look forward to those matchups against the run-heavy teams that give you the opportunity to be able to try to get downhill and make a hit on somebody?
Yeah, it's an opportunity for production. If you have good eyes and you come downhill and make those plays as a linebacker, it's a great opportunity. So yeah, that's what we're preaching in our meeting room, and everyone's excited for the game.
What's gone into kind of elevating your game this offseason? Obviously, you're focused on a couple different sports, but what did you actually do to take a step at this position?
I'd say, honestly, it came in the spring, just keeping my mind sharp when it comes to the playbook and watching film. Because, I obviously wasn't out here for spring ball and for a lot of summer. I feel like football is a game of instincts. You can only practice so much on-field work and footwork. It's mostly just comes down to seeing, trusting your eyes and watching film and seeing stuff happen before it happens. So I just credit my off-season training when it came to just seeing the playbook and watching film.
I thought that was a great answer from Bryce Beter. I mean, that's a tough thing, right? When you're a two-sport guy. Roderick Pleasant went through this on the track team as well. There's a extra workload that comes with that. And we just heard a guy talking just there about, hey, it's a mental thing. Experience in the playbook really does matter, especially when you get to this point in the season. That's Bryce Beter meeting with the media, talking Ducks and Beavs, 12:30 kickoff on Fox on Saturday. When we come back, Jabar Muhammad. Ducks have been good in the secondary, but Jabar Muhammad will tell you that they can get better at one thing in particular, the Oregon defensive back, when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear summer vacay, load up on fun in a new Toyota. Go off-road in the 4Runner, haul it all in the Tundra, play hard in the Tacoma, or take the scenic route in the all-new, all-hybrid Camry. Visit Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you. on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by your local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear summer vacay, load up on fun in a new Toyota. Go off-road in the 4Runner, haul it all in the Tundra, play hard in the Tacoma, or take the scenic route in the all-new all-hybrid Camry. Visit Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Heard from Bryce Beter a moment ago. Another defensive guy, this time in the defensive backfield. Jabar Muhammad, he's played at Reser Stadium, though not as a Duck. Might feel a little different for him. We'll find out. Jabar Muhammad met with the media. Ducks have been really good in pass deflection. Now, something actually that maybe they can get a little bit better at. Jabar Muhammad meeting with us all in the media yesterday.
You played at Reser last year. What do you remember about playing in that environment? Obviously, it was a rainy game, but what do you remember about that game?
It's a wild environment. The fans are right there on you, talking smack, real loud. So they have to come in there on our A game. But as far as the environment, they're real rowdy. They're going to be in there.
The defensive backs so good at deflecting balls this season. I think 12 last week. That's a high number. How much pride do you take in that?
I mean, a lot. We emphasize it every day. Even when practice, we come out there and do extra. We actually work on, we got to start catching them now and taking them the other way. But we take pride in whenever the ball comes our way, man, not allow them to catch.
You give Jordan a hard time for not picking that one and taking it the other way.
Man, we was talking about it yesterday after the coach, so we was talking about it. I didn't actually see the play because I was in coverage. But when I seen it back on film, I said, bro, come on now. But yeah, we give him a hard time about it.
That game you played at Oregon State last year being in that pouring rain, how much are you actually looking back on that? Because it's going to be a different approach because you weren't going into that expecting them to really be that pass heavy.
Right. I mean, they're kind of the same team with some of the same schemes and tools or whatever. So just getting dialed in on the playbook, getting dialed in on what we got going this week and applying that to Saturday.
How similar is what they're doing now to what they were doing last year?
Yeah, it's a few tweaks here and there. They open it up a little bit more, but they're still a run-heavy team, so we got to be on our P's and Q's.
What have you seen from their wide receivers? Gotten off to a nice start, number 7.
Yeah, most definitely. Explosive player, can run a pretty good route tree, good yards after catch and everything like that. So we got to stay top down and try to, hold him as much as we can.
What are you doing as a defensive back to try to help you get ready to play a team that is so run heavy, where it's not going to be as much on you as in the pass coverage?
Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, since I've been here, the practices are already physical. We already work tackling a whole bunch. So just implementing that to Saturday.
From afar, what's been your perspective of this rivalry?
I mean, like you said, from afar, I haven't really seen it too close. So I'm just going to be really looking forward to Saturday, see what it's really about.
Somebody who's been a part of a couple of in-state rivalries before, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was the Bedlam experience? What was the Apple Cup experience like?
Yeah, the Bedlam experience was crazy. Obviously, I have some familiarity with that, just being from the South. That experience was crazy. The fans were throwing stuff at your buses and everything like that. And even when you get in there, it's legit like bad blood. So I'll probably be expecting some of that Saturday.
You know, rivalries are passionate. There's no doubt about that. and I say this in the best way possible. Like, I just want everybody to be safe. Student athletes, fans. I know that sometimes the beverages flow. Just be safe, please. I'd like to get home safely, win or lose. On the other side of the Oregon team, I suppose, on the other side of the ball, Nashad Struther, offensive lineman who played some critical snaps and played well, I thought, by most accounts, played well. Always things to improve on, no doubt about it. But the snaps where he was in, I think Ducks had some success offensively. Nashad Struther met with the media as well, talking about the offensive line, where the Ducks are at heading into this rivalry matchup with the Beavs.
What were those things that you feel like you can improve
on? Probably balance. I was leaning a little bit in the run game and the pass game, so just fixing my body posture is going to help me out a lot moving forward.
What changes for you from right side to left side, if anything?
Well, I would say I'm more comfortable playing left. I played left at ECU, so I got a lot more experience at that position.
Matter when the quarterback's left-handed or right-handed on that too?
Not really. That's just where I'm more comfortable.
What's being a part of a rotation like that, like on a Saturday where you're in for a couple series and then you're sitting for a couple?
Well, yeah, it keeps you fresh, but sometimes your rhythm gets thrown off a little bit. But there's a positive and a negative to it.
What has it been like these first couple of weeks in South where we realize, all right, the first week you didn't play as much, but clearly there's issues in the room to be worked out and stuff, so you can't answer for all of them, but what has the meeting room been like? What does film review look like where you guys got to
everybody in that room is still hungry. Everybody wants to play, and everybody has that goal to play. So, I hope everybody in the room gets a chance. Everybody's going to keep working and keep working hard, and nobody in the room is getting comfortable with their spot. Obviously there's a lot of stuff changing, so, just put your best foot forward every day, and then we'll see what happens.
How much are you rotating through different groups within practice so far this week?
Yeah, we rotate a lot. Everybody plays with each other, and then we kind of finalize the lineup towards the end of the week, and whoever has been executing the best is going to play.
Do you feel like that provides you an advantage on game day when you're thrown into situations like playing with guys who you hadn't necessarily been playing with throughout the week?
Well, I think there's not much difference, really. I feel comfortable playing with everybody. We all know the system, we all communicate the same way. So, it really doesn't, being next to different people, it really doesn't factor too much into it.
We're going to sum up what the issues are for the group right now. You can answer for your own self for what you're talking about, but you have to improve on. But when the group is facing some issues, whether it's pass pressure allowed or run block, what are some of these problems?
Yeah, I just think we need to mature a little bit as a whole. Dealing with a new quarterback. We lost some key pieces on the line last year. So just, finding new leaders, figuring out how Dylan wants things, how we're going to operate as a group now. Just some things need to be figured out, but we're definitely heading in the right direction.
What do you make of, the mindset? Is there frustration, or how are you handling?
No, not at all. We understand that there are some things we need to improve on, but as far as being frustrated, not at all. We know what we're capable of, and so there's no frustration at all.
How do you think
Charlie and Poncho have handled rotating at center? Obviously, that's not something that happens across the country a lot.
Yeah, I think they've handled it well. Both of those guys want what's best for the team. So whoever's in there is gonna do what's best for the team. And if one of them's on the sideline, he's gonna be cheering everybody else on.
What stands out about just prepping for Oregon State and what you've seen on film?
Well, I guess it's a pretty big deal. I didn't realize that, but I guess this in-state rivalry is a pretty big deal. So they got the signs up in the facility and all that. So yeah, we'll see how it is. I've never been up there either, so I'm excited to play up there.
What do you see out of their defense?
Big up front. They got some big guys, but they also have some smaller, quick guys as well. So we got to be prepared for everything. Bull rushes, finesse moves, all that.
We asked you about this a year or so ago when you first got here, but you ever play center? You ever snap before?
Well, Coach Terry actually makes everybody snap before practice, because you never know what's going to happen. But I've never taken live reps, but, if he needs me, I'm here.
How confident are you in this operation going into a road environment and a pretty intense one?
Yeah, I'm excited. We got the crowd noise going in practice, and I'm sure it's not exactly the same, but, I feel like I'm prepared for it. I'm ready for it.
I'll tell you what, though, on the offensive line, communication obviously is so critical. And when I'm at practice, the crowd noise is comparable. And, it's funny, after spending a decade on the sideline during games, I've had my headphones full blast, and I cannot hear what Jerry and Jorgie are saying from upstairs. That's happened to me twice, and both times it was at Autzen Stadium. Shout out to the Oregon fans for that. It is truly a home field advantage. When we come back after a quick timeout, we're going to talk with the Oregon running back Jordan James, some of his thoughts heading into this matchup. He draws his motivation from that game 2 years ago in Corvallis. Tell you a little bit more about that with the Duck running back in a moment. More coming on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues from the Country Financial Studios in 1 minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
I much prefer shout to the chainsaw sound. I'm just going to say that now and say that out loud, and we'll see what happens come Saturday. I'm Joey Mac. We're in the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Jordan James, he met with us this week talking about the Oregon run game. Certainly the Ducks want to improve in a lot of categories. I think one would be the run game. And Jordan James, I really loved him talking about that. Also, his answer drawing some motivation from 2 years ago, the last time the Ducks visited Corvallis. It's on their minds. Jordan James talking with us this week.
What do you remember of that game 2 years ago and the feeling of walking off that field under that setting?
Well, it wasn't a good feeling, especially to the team you share a state with. So I don't plan on feeling that anytime soon.
What about that goal line stand in particular? Because everybody can go through every which number of plays.
Yeah.
So you were part of that as well.
Honestly, I took that kind of hard, especially being a freshman in that situation. But, my coach was trusting me to get that job done, and I didn't. So I plan to get it done this year.
How would you assess your play through a couple of weeks? How do you think you've been?
I've been all right. I feel we can improve as a whole unit, a whole offensive unit.
What are some areas, I guess, that you want to see improvement from?
Just everywhere. Running backs have things they can work on. O-line, everyone. We all have room for improvement.
Seems like there's been a couple of runs, Jordan, for you maybe like either one block away or one broken tackle away from breaking something pretty big. Is that a fair set? You feel like you've had a couple that could go for that much more?
Yeah, I've had a few of those. I gotta start breaking those tackles. I gotta get out of that last tackle. I'm usually one away. So.
Oregon State defense pitched a shutout last week. What have you seen out of them in their first two games?
They're a good defense. They're physical. They know what they're doing. They know the scheme. But they're going to be a good team to play.
How is preparing for a rivalry game like this so early in the season instead of the usual build-up to the end of the year differed from what you've seen in the past couple of years playing against Oregon State?
It's different because we usually play them last game of the season, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, it's the same mindset going into the same. You know, just ready to go, ready to get to work.
I feel like you're familiar now with the rivalry and what it means.
Yeah, you know, they don't like us, we don't like them. It's simple as that. So.
When the interior of the O-line changes as much as it was this past week, how does that impact you, if at all, in terms of when you have to know running lanes, certainly maybe some tendencies of some of your teammates? Is that,
yeah, the coaches do a good job of just rotating in practice. So I get reps with the guys that will be playing in practice too. So it's not like it's my first time ever being on the field with them. So I know their tendencies.
What was it like watching Noah take that one back?
I was so happy for him. If you would have, I ran down the whole sideline, the whole white stripe. So it's just good to see him back, man. You know, being the player he is.
He looks the same, right?
Yeah, he looks better. He looks way better.
As a running back, how much does watching a guy like Ashton G&T do what he did on Saturday, does that inspire you to pick up new moves and stuff like that when you're watching him out there?
Most definitely. You just have to, as a running back, you have to learn from other people's game. And he's a great back. He's doing some great things this year, and he's going to continue to do some great things. But I could definitely pick up a few things from his game. No.
All right, thanks,
Jordan James, the Oregon running back, talking with the media yesterday after practice. And look, I think the run game is going to be so important in this particular matchup because you can control the ball, you can control the clock, and certainly that's what Oregon State wants to do. Oregon State prides itself on running the ball, especially this year. In fact, listening to Trent Bray's press conference, the Beaver head coach, he actually admitted he's a little surprised at how much they've run it this year, but they've been successful doing it. Defense is solid. The run game is solid. It's a solid team in Corvallis. Ducks are going to have to bring their A game, just like we were talking about with Rob. Looking at your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill. Cafe Yum restaurants always available throughout the home of the Ducks, the Northwest. Yum Bowls at 23 Cafe Yum restaurants. Yum Bowl always sounds so good. All right, today, Oregon women's golf wrapping up their round in Minnesota. We'll have a full update for you on GoDucks.com this afternoon. Oregon volleyball is on the road in San Diego. They play BYU at 7 o'clock on Friday, also 7 o'clock on Saturday against San Diego. There's ESPN Plus coverage for that Saturday matchup. Oregon football, 12:30 kickoff on Saturday in Corvallis, and Oregon soccer at Pape Field, 7 o'clock on Saturday in the first ever Big Ten Conference matchup. Oregon football coach show tonight, Dan Lanning and Dylan Gabriel. See you then.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
You say you never give in to a meltdown and never feel your